Before I get into the interview, there's a few things I'd like to communicate to you. The first half of this video does not fill out your screen due to a technical issue that I had with my software. But the second half of it does fill out your screen and will be a normal viewing experience. This is part 1 and 2 of a 3-part interview series. Part 3 will be on a separate video and it will be marked as such. You do not want to miss the third and final part of this interview. I'm bringing this because the brother in this interview is any of us as individuals. It's any of our family members, any of our friends, people we've known about or read about in the news even. I want you to take the information and the experiences in this video and apply them to your life, and be sure to let your children view this information. This is not reality television, everybody. This is not a Dateline NBC report or a 2020 report. This is real life, and this brother is ours. I'll see you soon.
What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi, and I'm bringing this interview for you today of my brother Zaki Yusef Ali. I had the opportunity to know about my brother in the last weeks. You know, in Islam, I always tell you guys that we are a world community, a world brotherhood. Once I meet any Muslim, male or female, certainly any of my brothers, they are my brother. So says Allah. So says Allah. And so when I met this brother, and I began to understand his story, I was given the inspiration that this was something that I thought would be of value to share with all of you. You know, he's not an old dude. He's young, but his life is the mirror of so many of our young brothers and sisters, quite frankly, that we know about. And we never get to know, sometimes there's a soundbite on the news. Sometimes it's, we know somebody or we hear about something, but we never get the follow-up story. We don't really know, well, whatever happened to that person. You know, it was just maybe a piece on 60 Minutes or something, you know, or 2020. And so I've shared with you guys also that I worked in the correctional system. I did 2 years of juvenile corrections in a boys' facility. And I did 3.5 years in a men's correctional facility. So I know that world. And I know those people, you know, and I'm so grateful that I had that experience, you know, because it brings us to today. When I met this brother, I realized he was a success story, a survivor most of all. Because you must understand that, you know, we always talk about, you know, our brothers are kings and they're kings and they're kings, and you really get on the throne unless you done earned it. You see what I'm saying? So one of the things that I proclaim king with this brother and any of our brothers who can come through the worst that this society has to offer and still stand. And that makes him a king. So I introduce you now, and we're going to get into his life story, you know. It's not the entire book. You'll be able to buy that in a month. I'm over it. Maybe it'll be on Amazon. I don't know. All right, don't send me messages. Anyway, we want to share some of his life story with you, you know, as much as he wants to share. And I hope that all of your children will watch this, you know, boys and girls. And our adults, share the hell out of this, everybody. Because this isn't on 2020. It's not on Dateline NBC. You know, it's not on 60 Minutes. This is a real brother that hasn't been prepped by some producers, and, you know, this is our brother. And this is his story. So I'm going to introduce you now to Brother Zaki Yusef Ali. Brother Zaki, I greet you with the greatest greeting known to mankind. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So good to see you, brother. I mean that from my soul. From my soul. From my soul. From my soul. Brother Zaki, I wanted to, first of all, I want to thank you for doing this interview. You know, you agreed readily, I think, even the first time that I mentioned it. And I thank you for that.
It's a pleasure.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to just begin by, we'll just go right into it, you know. If you could give me just a sense of your early childhood, you know, like just your childhood. What was that like from the time you realized that you were on Earth? What's your experience?
Well, it was a typical black poverty growing up in the projects. I was actually born in the projects. I wasn't born in a hospital. I was literally born in the private bathroom, you know, and grew up my whole life just poverty stricken as majority of black American youth, you know. And,
your mic is getting muted somehow. Like you're going in, you started going out. Don't do nothing. I think maybe your hand or something, but go ahead.
What happened was the Salat came in.
Oh, mashallah. Yeah.
But yes, it was just statistics, you know. Growing up, my family didn't have money. Everybody was struggling around me. We in a 2-bedroom duplex, and you had like 15 people living here. You know, it was the normal thing amongst our community, you know, which shouldn't be normal, but it is. You know, and you hear the gunshots all the time, every day, all night. You got the dope boys selling drugs, you got the prostitution, the pimps, you got, you know, everything, you know, but it's like through all of that, you don't understand at that age that this is
not a good thing, right? Yeah.
You know,
right.
To you, this normal, you know, being able to use food stamps to go to the corner store and buy a bag of chips and a pack of candy. That's the highlight of your day. So it's like, those are normal things for us. But we don't know at that age that we in poverty, you know.
Right.
At that age, I didn't even know what poverty was, you know. I thought, you know, we were well off, you know. My aunts would come over and we have Sunday dinners and, you know, whole family get-togethers, and I got a big family, so we'd all come together on the weekends, and I felt like, you know, we were winning, you know, living the life. But it's as you start to age, you know, you get a little bit older and you start seeing certain things, you're going different places, and you're wondering like, they dress different, or even if they're not dressed different, they're able to buy more stuff than us, you know. Now you're starting to get a sense of, okay, we're poor, you know, this is what poor is, right. You know, and you to you, it still isn't as bad, you know, because everybody around you is in the same predicament. So it's like, it's not as bad. Mm-hmm. It's once you started going to school and now you're in school and you're around the kids who are middle class and they're able to afford certain things, and now you're just like, wow, you know, I really am poor. You know, I thought we were well off.
Revelation.
And, you know, that's when life starts hitting you. That young, you're like, you started seeing the division in society. Right. You know, you see where the government draws the line, you know, and for the black community, it's like the vast majority of us, this is how we grown up, you know. So when you're in school, it's like majority of all the blacks, y'all in the same boat. It's, you know, the whites you see, they don't have a care in the world, you know. Now you're restricted to eating school lunch, which is horrible, you know, having the bare necessities, you know, your mom, the lights out, you get home from school, you thinking, okay, maybe I'm going to watch a little TV. We didn't have cable at that time. So you think I'm going to watch a little TV out of school. You get home and the lights out, you know. Now you're asking, like, what's going on with the lights? And, well, I had to pay this bill and that bill, so this bill overlapped and this bill, and now it's like, okay, so when the lights going to be back on tomorrow? Oh, well, we're going to see. Tomorrow turns into 2-3 days, and then you got a week, maybe 2 weeks with no power. And it's like taking cold showers and all. It's like, is this life? And again, it's normal. You become accustomed to this. You think that this is also happening to other blacks that you are around. So you thinking this is normal. Right. You know, this is just how life is. We don't know at that age really, like, how severe the government is, and we don't understand fully what they're doing to us, you know, which is sad, but it's like, that's the norm, you know. Right. So, you know.
Talk to me, and you know, you said something there too, because I'm from the south side of Chicago, and you're so right, man. Like, it really is, wherever you at, that's what you know reality to be, especially at a young age, you know. Yeah, I just want you to know that's universal, you know, and then we can extrapolate that into how in other countries that are not exposed to America, their way of life is their way of life. And there's nothing wrong with that. What you and I were introduced to when we realized that there's other people wearing other things and buying more stuff, what we were introduced to is classism. We had a language then. We didn't know it. But that's essentially what we were introduced to, you know. Because there really is nothing wrong with being poor. There was a time on earth when there was no such thing as money, you know, and people helped each other and they bartered and whatever. But you made it from day to night without money changing hands, you know. Everything's predicated on money. So I love that. But I want you to take me now to, you know, more like your, you know, your teenage years, you know, starting early. And where are you from?
Memphis.
Okay. You're a country boy.
Yeah.
You know, talk to us about, you know, your teenage years, like, just whatever you want to tell me about that, you know, like, now you're a teenager, and what is your life? What's your perception of life? What are you doing? All these things, you know. Go ahead.
Well, coming into my teenage years, I became very fond of football. basketball was a normal thing in the projects. That's what we play basketball all the time. But I got fond of football, and I just love football. And I tried out for the team and made the team, and I was excited. I'm on the football team. It was a sense of pride came above me, and it was like, yes, now my family, they're gonna come, they're gonna be happy, and it's just, you always want to make your family proud, So in them moments, I was like, okay, this is the time for me. I got a chance now, make everybody proud of me, and
were you feeling that sense of, if I can interrupt just for a second, were you feeling that sense of, just that sort of coming of age, like, even if it hadn't, here's how I'll structure it. Even if it hadn't been football, was there just this calling in you? I hate to use calling because Christians use the word calling. I hate that. I'm going to need to drink a punch for that to just, Anyway. Was there just this sense of, because you said you come from a big family too, was this just a sense of trying to assert your own identity and your place and just like recognition within the family?
That's what it is.
What is your order in the family too, Zaki? What is your order? Like, where do you fall at in all the family? First start with boys.
With the boys, I'm somewhat in the middle. It's a lot of us. I'm somewhat in the middle.
Okay.
So it's like I got a lot of older male cousins.
Okay.
So it's like in the middle. I got a lot of young male cousins too. So it's like I'm like in the middle.
Okay.
But at the time, as becoming a teenager, I was more like I was more at the bottom. I still was kind of in the middle. I was like, I had like probably like 6, maybe 7 younger cousins.
Mm-hmm.
But, I still was, I've really always been in the middle. But,
Okay.
I've been in the middle.
So that this was, so you were having those feelings of like, let me just declare my own identity.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So it was, it could have been anything, like you're saying. It could have been singing. It could have been dancing. It could have been anything. You just want, as a male, you just want to make everybody proud. You just need that. It's like a title that you need, growing up. So out and coming up from the poverty, I felt like, okay, this is a way to take everybody's minds off of all the negative. They come watch me play, they cheer me on, and this, and the third, and that didn't happen, and I asked a lot of different family members. They always promised, and all my uncles and aunts and all, they would make promises. My mom, everybody, they would make promises, but it was like, here go again, nobody's here. And it starts to wear on you. And it was times I tell the coach he'd be trying to put me in the game, and I was upset because I ain't got no family here. I'm looking around like, nah, I'm straight. I don't even want to play.
Right.
And me and him have a little argument and all that. But it was like, he didn't understand it. We talked about it, but I ended up quitting the team because I felt like, what's the point? I might as well be just like the rest of my family in the streets, because
right.
Nobody cares if you try to do the right thing, And I end up joining a gang shortly after that because, believe it or not, the gang was the individuals that were actually coming to watch me play. They were the ones that started coming to watch me. They cheered me on, and a couple of them started like, man, why are you even playing that for? It's like, what you want to go to the league one day, you want to do this, or you know what I'm saying, we can make money doing this, we can do that, and I was like, you know what, you're right, you know, this what I want to do, forget, you know, ain't nobody in my family, and that was the biggest thing when I stressed to them about I'm playing because I want my family to come. They were like, I mean, where your family at? We your family, you know, we here, you know. So I was like, you know what, you're right.
Did you ever I hate the word confront. I also hate this white ass background behind me, but that's gonna be in the book. I'm not gonna get into it. Anyway, did you ever like go to any? Did you know like in every family, most families maybe, some families, you got that one ace, one or not. But did you ever go to anybody and say, you know, hey, you trying to come to my games? You know.
Well, I had an aunt who she would tell everybody that I was her favorite nephew. She was that aunt. She didn't care if it hurt, broke hearts or whatever. She let them know I was the favorite nephew. And she passed on. Rest of soul. She was that light. Her and my grandmother, they were that light that I needed, you know, that kept me pushing.
Yeah.
And her schedule, she was a supervisor at her job, so it was like her schedule, she couldn't just get off like that. And, you know, I was young, so I wasn't fully understanding of that, you know. And, you know, but me and her used to talk, and she would tell me, stay at it, just keep at it, and, you know, who knows one day what'll happen, and this. She was like, we talked about it, but it was just like the streets. You know, this is what I was in every day. So it was like the more and more that they didn't acknowledge, you know, what I was trying to do, the more and more I was getting drawn in by the streets, the more and more. And it was like, it got to the point I just was like, forget it, you know. This is what it is, you know.
Do you think that, like, even for your own experience, do you feel like that, you know, because I really want to go into this part because, you know, we always hear people say, and I turn to the streets. I want to really go micro-dissecting on that a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Because in my objection, I've said many times, you know, like there's 9 of us kids, and we come from the south side of Chicago, and I never turn to the streets. You know, and I think a lot of people, they're left with that void. How do you end up? Because if we was broke, we just broke. You know, we just broke, damn it, you know. But that's not the case for everybody. And then there can be extenuating circumstances, like with you, like you were saying, like it was already, like, you knew, even if you didn't have the language at your young age to articulate it, you knew that you needed that cheerleading support, that backing from your family to say, well done, you know. So I want you to help us to understand this turning to the streets. And by that I mean, what does that mean? You're not turning to go and start killing old ladies. I mean, that can become part of it.
Yeah, that can become part of it.
But one does not turn for that.
No.
Tell us about this turning, if you can.
You see, people use that statement in the sense of you're already in the streets, you know, but you're trying your hardest not to be a part of the streets. You know, you're trying to do everything in your power to not fall victim to circumstance, you know, and which you already a victim of, but you're trying your hardest to better your situation, you know, take your mind away from your environment, you know, and eventually majority of black males get to a point where they're like, you know what, I've been trying, it's not working, you know what, this is what it is, it's no fighting it no more, I'm just going to accept it, this is what it is with me, you know, and, you know, unless you're that one individual who's good at playing sports, you know, or you have somebody that's got money in the community. They like, oh, you can rhyme a little bit. We're gonna put some money behind you. I want you to be a rapper or whatever, And for majority, that's not the case. You're not as good in sports. You can't rhyme. You can't. It's like you're already gone, and you're fighting. You're fighting. You're drowning. You're drowning, but you're trying to stay afloat. You're trying your hardest to stay afloat, and then you just get to a point. You're just like, you know what? Forget it. I give up.
Is it primarily just about money? It's like, and in that, I mean, is it money overall? Is it money just day-to-day survival? Is there, in other words, because we never see like brothers that don't have no way out, and just like the stuff you named, they're not good at rapping, they're not a good enough athlete, So, but why is nobody like setting it off like in the movie? Like, let's go and take a whole bunch of money and we're gonna be good. You feel me? Why is it? Because I want to get into gangs after this too, but I want to keep that separate. But I mention it because then it becomes, it's more than just the survival and the money. But I want to talk about the money right now. What is the reasoning here? Is it the camaraderie? Like you said, that your brothers would come out and watch your games and support you. That's one thing. That's a sense of family. As we say in Spanish, la familia es lo más importante. But so now you have that family. You got your homeboys that will come to your games, and there's other camaraderie there. What then is now, and even if one wants to understand, like we just trying to get to the movies on the weekend and we got no money, so we got to go and do this. One could even rationalize that, To me, that still don't really make you in the streets so much. That's just, and I don't even think at that stage doing a little something like that even makes you about that life, as they say. I think it's just, I need to do this and I need to do that to make this happen. So I did that. And it's just a bad thing to do, and you just did it. So what? Fine. When does it become a way of life? Like, is it other kids? What is it? Talk to me.
Well, it's like, from my experience, it's like money definitely plays a huge factor, because now you gotta eat. It's like you're tired of seeing the lights being out. You're tired of coming in the house and there's no food in the refrigerator. You're tired of, and it's like, now what can I do? And I'm too young to get a job, so what can I do to better my circumstance? I'm tired of wearing beat up tennis shoes, jeans with holes in them. It's like, now you have a sense of, what can I do to better my situation right now? And that's when you start turning to crime, because it's like, especially being in the gang life, this is what's campaign, well, hey, we're going to put this pack in your hand and you go sell this, and this how you sell this what this go for, this how you cook this up, this how you do that, and this and that and the third, and we're going to also give you this banger, and push come to shove, you go jack people, you do this, you do that, and this is how you're going to get your money up. And then you start asking questions. You seeing guys, older people around you, older peers, like, dang, how did you get the money for that car? How did you? And then it's like, how did you do this? How did you do that? And then they explain, they give you the game, and now you like, okay, so I got to do this, I got to do that, and you're head over heels in doing all the types of criminal activity, so money's rolling in. Now the refrigerator's full all the time. You're buying video games. You're able to have the lifestyle that, you want. You feel like
where money is not such a burden. And then I would also interject this too, that it's not even about being a criminal. You know, like our brothers and sisters aren't said not to be criminals. Like I want to be a criminal in life, because as you were speaking, I'm understanding and can understand. And by the way, in this interview, I'm acting like I don't know anything, because just for the benefit of our audience, to speak for some of our listeners. But I'm saying, like, I am also understanding as you're speaking that, because each person that's doing something, let's see if you were a crew, and y'all gonna do anything, even if it's them giving you a brick to go sell this, and they give you a chopper and everything. Each person that's involved, they're thinking about what they got to do with their money. Everybody has their own individual goal, you know. And so and it's always for the now. It's like we trying to fix our situation now. That's why none of this stuff ever ends up, unless you're Freeway Rick and have he really do all this so much. They don't end up pooling their money and buying stocks on the stock market. You feel me? And we're buying land out in, you know, it's about the now. We're trying to take people through the pathology. I love that. Okay, so now okay, go ahead.
So from there, now you're getting money, and now it gives you a sense of being the man of the house, or you're an adult now, you're taking care of business, you got responsibilities. So now, you know, you're giving your younger siblings money to go to school with, you're skipping school, now you're at a point where you're smoking weed, you're drinking, you're doing all the adult activities, because now you actually feel like you're an adult. You know?
Oh, by the way, the natural fun that kids would have in this space from adolescence through teenager, that's not the same reality because of the lack of funding, because of the lack of access and all of that. So your fun is replaced now by, well, in order to have any type of fun, that's why they don't go out and invest their money in stocks and do everything. They got holes in their jeans, they replace those, and they're wearing True Religious, and they're wearing Nike, and they're doing it all now, because it's like, well, it's like you're filling in that space that you're naturally supposed to have, but you don't get to have. So this is also part of the provocation. Go on.
Yeah. So once you get to that point, it's like, all right, now my life is getting on track. But what you don't realize is your life is getting more off track, you know, and subconsciously you don't even realize it, you know. You thinking, like me, I'm gonna speak for me. Me, I was thinking like, okay, I'm good now, you know. I can buy anything I want. The new Jordans coming out, I'm having them. You know, I can go to school now in style, you know, and we're going to have a dice game, you know, I'm pulling out a bankroll, and females, they loving me, everything. It's like now you go from being a child to right into being an adult before your time. And it's like, this is a part of everything that you are a victim of. You know, you being robbed of your childhood. You know, you feel like it's an urgency to become an adult so you can have, you know, certain things that you want to have. You feel like, okay, my mom, my dad, whoever, they can't get this for me. They can't do it. Now I'm going to do it for myself. And also now my mom bills is caught up, and this and that and the third. And you feeling like you have to step in. And that's a part of the government structure for the black community, you know, to rob you of these type of things. You know, they campaigning it. They campaign your poverty and their riches, their wealth. So you can see the line. Now, this is what you want. So only way you're going to acquire this is if you do crime, you know, in their eyes. So by you doing crime, this is going to lead you to this place. You know, it's a system they have put in place. It's the reason why they're campaigning their wealth and they're campaigning your poverty, you know, because they want you to try to gain access to the things that they have, because they know there's no way you're going to be able to do it unless you're doing criminal activity, the wrong things. And if you do those things, now we don't got to worry about you. We can push you under the rug, because now you're going to either get killed, or you're going to go to jail, constantly in and out of jail all your life. So it's like, it's a system they have put in place. And when you're young, you don't know nothing about that system.
Right.
All you think of is, hey, I want the finer things. I want to get out, I want to leave the hood one day. And being in the streets, it's nothing to glorify. When you're young, you think it is. All right, I'm from such and such projects, and, or I'm in such and such gang, and, when you're young and you lack knowledge, you think all of these things are important. Oh, okay, I'm from the streets. That makes me tough, or that gives me the right to basically, do what I want to do and live the type of way I want. And all actuality, it means nothing, and you don't learn that until as you age. But as a teenager, you feel like, man, I'm living life right now. I'm having a ball.
Where does this, when I worked, certainly when I worked juvenile, the kids used to, they come up and everybody's gang related. And, like when we have them down in the mess hall, we call it, the thing was that if you wanted somebody stomped on the ground, you was dissing their hood. I go around that damn hall just stomping in front of every motherfucker. Just stomping, trying to make a point. And then because we read the mail, and we knew when they got mail and all that, and I would go and talk to brothers and say, I don't see you don't got no mail, but you still representing some real estate you don't even own. So, like, help us to understand where that comes in. Like, it's already in place once you join a gang. The infrastructure is already set up. But what I'm trying to understand is, and I don't even need to ask that part of it, because, everybody knows enough about gangs that when they go to join a gang, they know they're doing not the right thing. But how are you able to, once you join a gang, how are you able to be invested enough to then now you're representing a real estate that you don't have no titles and no deeds to? What is that? And what is that? How do you get to that point? What is that?
Well, the game part, it's like when every neighborhood has what, the organizations that this neighborhood is majority of, this is what they are over here. That this gang here, this gang there. So it's like a vast majority of black youth, by you growing up in these projects, this is the gang that you're going to, fall in line with, because it's like everybody you're around, this is what they are. So it's like you already a part of it, and you don't even know it.
Unofficial.
And and it's like, because if you go outside of the neighborhood and you say, oh, I'm from such neighborhood, they automatically gonna put you in a box with that gang, So now eventually you're gonna become a part of that gang anyway. And the gang part is like when you start, repping a hood that at any moment, like you said, you can be taken from. You don't own nothing in this hood.
Right.
It's like in them times, I don't even think anyone's conscious about that. Nobody even thinks that far down the road, Only thing that's going through our minds is like, okay, this is my neighborhood. It's like tribes. It's like, this is where I'm from. This is all I know, so this is what it is. And even if you remove me from this neighborhood, this is still my neighborhood regardless. I'm going to rep this until I die. And it's like, I ask myself why, but back then it made sense to me to rep this, and it was like, this is what it is. You know, this is where I was born and raised. This is where I'm at. This is who I'm around all the time. These are the people who I break bread with. These are individuals who, if anything happens to me, it's gonna be consequences. This neighborhood, this set that's here in this neighborhood, is like, this is what it is. And that's also systematic, set up by the government. You know, it's you put yourself in a box. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have any growth. You're stagnated, and you don't even know it. And the gangs don't even know it. You know, the top gang members don't even know that all they're doing is helping the government keep you in a box. You know, because you don't understand it's a whole other world outside of your neighborhood, outside of your gang.
And I was gonna say, because okay, it's fine. You rep your neighborhood. That's where I'm from. This is what it is. Woo, woo, woo. But now, help us understand. Then now, okay, so now I'm from the other neighborhood. Why you hate me? I'm repping me. Why can't y'all say, yeah, I see y'all repping y'all too? Why you hate me? Why you riding on me, man? Why you riding on me, cuz? Why you riding on me, nigga?
It's funny you say that. It's because I think the reason why we can't all come together as one and understand we all in poverty. We all got the same goals. We all want to strive for the same thing in life. Instead of us coming together, we so angry about our condition that now the anger, we got to push the anger out some type of way. And it's like, okay, he's from another neighborhood, you know, he's from another sect. So I'm going to push this anger out on him. You know, it's all structured. It's been put in play by the government already.
It's that simple.
You know?
It's that simple. Why I asked that, man, is because, like, I seen brothers, they roll up on a brother as if he killed somebody in their family. Like, he don't know the brother, he never met him, but he's wearing the wrong color. So what you, man, you like, what is, I mean, and they don't know each other. It's no reason for no beef. It's only because you represent a different neighborhood than me. And there are hundreds of thousands, millions of our brothers in cold graves because they had on the wrong color. Wow. What is that?
It's the government, you know. Originally, gangs was set up to protect their neighborhoods.
Exactly, you know, brother.
From the government, you know, and it wasn't to protect the neighborhood from each other. It was to protect from the police brutality that was taking place.
That's right.
And just like the Black Panther movement, this is what gangs was about. It was about bringing money back to our neighborhoods, you know, uplifting our neighborhoods and our people, patrolling our streets to make sure we were safe, you know. And it's just over time, the government started throwing monkey wrenches. You know, we gonna dress up like the opposing gang. We're gonna kill this person and dump his body over in this neighborhood, and we're gonna make it seem like they did it. And this is how you got gang wars started. Yeah. And it's like, that's how the war, that's how the beef and animosity came into play. Yeah. But originally it wasn't that. And it's like, now it's to a point where it's like, I'm so angry that my situation is what it is, and I'm too afraid to take it out on the government. That's what the problem is. You're really mad at the government, but we as a people are too afraid to stand up to the government. So instead, we're going to take it out on each other. So, you know what? I can't take it out on my brothers and sisters that's from my neighborhood or my sect. I'm going to take it out on the ones that's over here. Somebody you never met, you know, somebody you never known, might not be a bad person, but because he has a different color on, he's from a different neighborhood, it's a problem. And you hate him as if he's the one that put you in the predicament that you in the first place. That's all set up by the government. It's a structure. Subconsciously, we are asleep. We don't even understand that what's going on. You know, we don't even see the bigger picture. And to this day, this is how society is. We still don't see the bigger picture.
Right. You know, something also that I thought about as you were saying that too, like, you know, if there's a time before you are in a gang and then now you're in a gang, but then somebody that was a friend of yours over in the other neighborhood from way back now you in a gang and you see that person, now what?
Now, with me,
let me make it even worse for you. And his mama used to babysit you.
Yeah, see, I've literally had those type of experiences, and there was a one time, and I had a homeboy. I'm gonna say around like 10, we moved. I didn't move. His family moved to another neighborhood, and I didn't see him anymore. You know, for years. And once we were teens, we crossed paths in the mall, and I'm noticing the colors he got on and the flag hanging out his pocket. I'm like, you? And he like, you? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, dang, you know what I'm saying? And we talking, but it's like I'm in here with my set, he in here with his set, and now the sets walking up and they like, is it an issue? They thinking it's an issue, you know?
Right.
And me and him like, it's no problem, this and that and the third. And, you know, now our sets ready to go at it. Like, even if it ain't a problem, they don't care. This is somebody on the opposite set, you know, so they ready to go at it.
Right, it's got to be a problem.
We in between it like, no, you know, because even though we different sets, this was like a brother to me. So it was like, nah, you know, dude, a good dude, whatever, you know, not today. If y'all catch him on another day and I ain't around, and hey, I got nothing to do with that. But it's like me watching my brother be in another set and y'all talking about bringing home on him. It's like, whoa, wait. Let's hold. It ain't that type of party, man. Not today. No, let's go different ways. So we end up diffusing the situation and we went our different ways, but I knew that I could never hang out with him now, you know, because of what we are, we can never kick it. We can't coexist no more, you know. And as I got older, that changed up a little bit, because the older you get and the longer you're in the game, it's like the wiser you get about life in the game. And it's like, now you understand certain things that you can do, you know, or certain things you can bend to your will and all. It's like, I've been on the set this long, you know, you're not as wild as you were at first, because when you first enter the game, you are wholeheartedly a hothead. And this is for everyone, male and female. You're a hothead and you're a loose cannon. You just ready to prove yourself. You really, it's the same thing. It goes all the way back to what I was saying earlier. It's like you want to make the game proud. You know, you want them to you know, glorify you. Like,
like that nigga down. He down. Yeah.
And it's like throughout life, we forever looking for that void. We want that feel, whether it's by your family or the game, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like the game, they acknowledge that. So that's what engulfs you more, because they giving you acknowledgement when you doing certain things. Your family might not acknowledge you. They might didn't pay you no attention. We are, you know. So now you going even harder for the game. And it's like when you see other individuals that you grew up with, and
plus all that respect that you get from them too. Like they got me, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and then like you say, the more that you can, more impressive you can be, that raises your real estate value amongst your brothers. And it's like, you know, it feels all that, the ego It feels that little piece that people have in them of fame and celebrity and being deified and worshiped, if you will. It feels all of that, like, yeah, that nigga down, and you got by default they looking up to you.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah. And you have all of that going on, so it's like, I'm me now. Now they give me you rank, they give me you, hey, well, now you on this level. You stepping up a level. You didn't put this work in. You've been down this many years. You stepping up a level. You up another level. To where now you're the figure who's bringing in and putting down younger people now. And you're still a teenager.
Right.
You're still a teenager.
Right.
But now it's like you're an adult, but by default,
Mm-hmm.
And now you're the big homie, and the younger teenagers are now looking up to you, and now you putting them and you giving them the game, and and it makes you feel like, yeah, I feel good now. I feel like I'm in a position where I want to be, and you don't fully understand still, what you're doing with your life. You don't understand that, dang, by giving these guns and these drugs to these younger teenagers, I'm ruining their lives. I'm the reason little bro got killed, or little sis got killed in the drive-by, or I'm the reason why my neighborhood is the way it is. I'm a part of that. I'm a part of the problem, and you don't realize that, in them time frames, because none of that matters. To me, you're going through a time frame where you're temporarily insane, because you don't fully grasp what you're doing to your life,
right, and
how everything is going to affect you in the long run. You're so caught up in the moment. It's like, yeah, I'm on top of the world right now. I got all this money in my pocket. I got this type of car. I got these rims. I got these type of clothes, the jewelry, and it's like, I got the street credibility. The streets love me, and this and that and the third, and you're lost, and you don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even think about, like, okay, I got this gun on me. I'm banging this game. If these guys come through and I shoot one of them and they die, I go to jail for the rest of my life. And what did that accomplish?
And when you and to that point, when you in doing all of this and around people that are doing this, some of those people, maybe they go to jail and they don't come back. Maybe some of them go to jail and they come back. What are those conversations like? Like, what are y'all thinking and saying when Snoop he gone, man, or he get killed? But let's, just like one of y'all get killed, or one of y'all go up for a little bit of time and come back, or one of y'all go for a long time, you ain't coming back. What are those? What's going through y'all mind, and what's the conversation then? You know what I mean?
When somebody dies, we mourn, but at the same time, we kind of celebrate and remember them. Like, okay, this is, he was one hell of a dude, or she was a great chick, and then, we kind of celebrate at the same time.
It is the prince.
Video call from the prince.
I gotta tell him he's dead to me. I love you. You're dead to me.
I was listening to We're Here to Change the World. That's my song.
Yeah, well, we are here to change the world. I'm in an interview right now. Look.
All right.
Did I show you Brother Zaki before?
No.
I'm always doing this to you. This is Zaki. And then now he can see you.
Yeah. What's up, Prince?
He didn't hear you.
What's up, Prince?
He didn't hear you.
I know. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm editing you out. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not going to edit this. I'm going to leave it in. But I got to finish this interview with him. And listen, I think we can get a chance to talk the whole weekend. Your timing has just been really like hideous.
Call me back when you finish.
I will, inshallah. You look great.
No.
I'm over you. You're dead to me. Salam alaikum. He saw me. Man. I digress. You know, when you say that, you know, you guys mourn them, but like, is it, you know, because I feel like soldiers do this. You know, you on the battlefield with colleagues, homies you was just, you know, making food with last night or whatever, and then they get struck down by, you know, IED, and it's kind of like, well, we have to go on. You know, does it feel like that? Or also we know the misplaced masculinity amongst a lot of our young brothers at that age. Is it just you feel like you want to really cry and mourn and get the ugly snot cry and everything, but you got to be hard, you know? So what's the dynamic there? When, like, you know, you're missing somebody, but like you say, you just kind of remember them and celebrate them, and I guess take revenge if you know who did it.
Yeah,
but
that's definitely.
Yeah, you know, but it's not like, oh my God, so and so died and we can't believe it. Don't do that.
Now you will have some brothers who will get to that level.
Break down.
You know, yeah, because it's like, especially if this is a brother that you've been around every day.
Right.
You know, this is your brother. Like, it's like you losing a real family member.
Yeah.
So in those type of incidents, you will, you know, break down, and even if you don't do it right in front of everybody, when you get alone in the bathroom or wherever, you can't hold it in no more, and it just come out, and it's like, dang. But the anger, like you said, the anger plays a factor now. It's like, do we know who did this? And if we know who did this, now it's retaliation.
Right.
And we're not going to just allow it to be one. We're going to take many as y'all as we can, but it's one loss, you know, and that's how it works out. And when someone goes to jail, it's like life goes on. It's like they never left, you know. I mean, you keep moving on with life, you know, and you send them money from time to time, you know. You send them money, you send them, write them letters, you know, answer phone calls, you know, you let them know that they ain't forgot, you know, just because they got a life sentence, they not forgotten, you know. Eventually they will be forgotten. When you have a lot of time in the beginning,
mm-hmm.
you will notice a lot of people riding with you. But once you get into the realm of you done did 6-7 years day for day, you're gonna notice the communication starting to slack.
Yeah.
You know? And eventually, once you get into 10 years, 15 years day for day, the communication line is gonna leave, you know, and that's even with anything, even gang, not gang. That's everybody.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It don't matter. Somebody go to jail, everybody's devastated for 5 minutes, and then they're trying to call you, and they're doing it all, and then after a while, it's just like, my phone don't ring, you know. And I would just add too, just for my audience, just to say this, you know, and that's it's that, and like, you know, when I had my accident in 2010. You know, as soon as you get hurt and here come everybody to the hospital, you know, all the people I knew, nobody was my family because I don't talk to my family, but the people that I knew, that I know and, you know, am friendly with and stuff like that, they were showing up and they're so concerned about you and you could just see it fall away. Then you get out of the hospital, there's a resurgence. You're home now, everybody wants to come by and wish you well and da-da-da-da. And that dwindles off. until you find out who your real friends are. You know, so it's a similar. You know, but certainly once you get incarcerated, and having worked on the inside, I've seen that brothers come in, and after a while they help just dries up. They're not giving no more letters. They come into you asking, I ain't get no mail. You know. So yeah, and I want to get into your pathway to, you know, the thing that took your freedom. But I want to approach it from the standpoint of someone that I believe that there's always warning. I believe there's always warning, a whisper that can come in the form of an event or a quick whisper, a knowing, an inclination that happens, you know. I want you, as we take a break, because my bladder is killing me. Y'all know I'll edit. I will let that be out there. I'd say that. When we come back from break, I want you to talk to me. I want to try and help you, even, if I might even be so bold as to say that humbly, to try to help you find that pathology. And if it's clear in your mind, that might be one thing. But if not, let us try to go to that place. Because anytime something happens, that happened. But I always say there's a pathology to everything. Nothing just happens. You know, nothing. A conversation, a burp, a breath, not anything you could name on the earth. Every single thing has a pathology, a beginning, a point of origin. Where did it start? Where did, you know, and then, and then it becomes, and now it's that, you know. I'd like to be able to try and delve into the pathology that led to the loss of your freedom. And if we can, together, try to identify warnings that went on. So we're going to take a quick break here, everybody. It'll probably just be a transition for you guys, but we are going to take a moment. I have a prayer I need to make up, and my bladder is killing me. So we are going to take a break. It won't be a break for you, it'll be a break for us, and then we'll get back into what we'll call part 2 of our interview with Brother Zaki Yusef Ali. I'll see you in a moment. So we're back, everybody, for our second part now of our interview with Brother Zaki Yusef Ali. As you can see already, this is why you need to let your children, no matter what their ages, teenagers down, need to see this. You need to see it. But this is one of those things that needs to be shared across our community, and more brothers, hopefully, that are watching this. It doesn't even have to be in this format. Just get on camera and start telling your story, you know? Start telling your story, because that will add something to those young ones that are exposed to you now, that they don't understand the cycle, they just in it. They're just in it. But by you speaking, you can help them understand what it is the cycle is, and then they go, oh, wait a minute, I'm in the cycle. I'm in the cycle. And maybe they can make better choices from that. So I thank you, Brother Zaki, for the second half of this interview. I appreciate you, brother. I'm trying to act like I don't know you. It's always tough in interviews when you try to interview somebody you know, like, hey, that's my brother. So I try to keep it like, you know. Anyways, I wanted to pick up there. I wanted to I wanted to get into the series of events that essentially, and decisions and happenstances and whatever, you know, because sometimes it can be like the person was doing one thing, then they showed up at their sister house, but she just happened to not be home that night, and then God knows, you know, I mean, you know, but so just what you see as the series of events and atmospherics over time that just kind of led to that, and then we'll get into the event itself. But go ahead.
Yes. Well, about 2 weeks maybe before the event took place, I had a dream that the police, it was nighttime and the police had surrounded my house. And it seemed so real that it woke me up. Like I jumped up like,
Stop the press. That's the universe going. Go ahead. I'll expound on that. It's just, but that's
yeah.
I can't. Go ahead.
Now,
Wow.
before the dream came, about a week and a half before that, my sister reached out to me from Georgia and was like, she wanted me to come down there for a couple weeks. You know, she like, you're doing too much in the city. You know, you need to come down here and just chill for a minute. You know, and just calm down. I was like, you know, my excuse was, well, I can't just pick up and leave. I got the kids here. You know, I had two small children, so I'm like, I can't just pick up and leave like that, like I could when I was a teenager. You know, mind you, I was like 21 at the time. So after that, I want to say about a few days later, my homeboy comes into town who lives in Texas. And he's been living in Texas at that time for a couple years. And he just so happened to come to town. And he reached out to me and we hung out. And he was like, man, I came back because I'm down here living with this chick. And her family rich. And they left for this big, crazy house, and you know, I don't really got no friends down there, and she always want me to be at home and this and that and the third. And he was like, man, you know, just come on down here, you know, for a couple weeks, like we'll get you a plane ticket round trip, you know, and you can leave whenever you want, but man, just come hang out with me and kick it and this and that and the third. And I was like, man, it's tempting. And I came up with the excuse again, like, I got the kids here, you know what I'm saying? I can't just pick up and leave like that. So that was my excuse again. And that same day, my phone rang, and it was my grandma on my dad's side, who also lives in Texas, just in a different part of Texas than him. She called me and was like, grandson, I ain't talked to you in a while, and this and that. It had been like 4 years since I talked to her. She was like, I was thinking you can come down here to Texas and stay for a week or so and, you know, just hang out with us. And Nikki, my cousin Nikki, who's like a couple of years younger than me, she, me and her had been talking, like, I want to say 2 months before all of this took place. We had been talking. We reached out to each other, and we ain't talked to each other since we was little kids. So she was like, Nikki really wants you to come down here, and we can all just hang out and do this and that and the third. I just want you to come, you know, come down here with us for a while. And I was like, again, the same excuse, you know, the kids, I can't just pick up like that. And I was like, give me some time to set some things up, put some things in motion, and I'm going to try to come down there, you know. And I say all that to say this, subliminally, God was talking to me, and I wasn't. It was like my world was too loud. I couldn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how God works. Allah, He talks to you indirectly. And the word of Allah will not fall upon deaf ears. And I truly believe that. My world was too loud.
Right.
So I couldn't hear. All the signs. And then 2 weeks before the event took place, here is me having a dream. And, I'm telling a couple of my homeboys about it, and they were like, that's just a dream, you tripping. But who knew that that's exactly what was going to take place, though, you know?
Wow. I always that's why I said that to you, and why I didn't want to just go, well, how'd you end up losing your freedom? I wanted to dig to, because I know there's got to be a pathology, because there it just is. But also, I always feel like when something really negative happens, there were already warning signs before that. There was already warning signs, and like you say, here you're getting phone calls from people you ain't talked to in years, people trying to get you out of your environment. You've had this dream that actually woke you up. You're telling people about the dream. That was a gift, first of all. It meant that Allah was giving you a chance even then, because everybody don't get a warning. There's a pathology, but there's not this clear sign of warning, like on the wall, A to Z, like, yeah, that's profound. I'll just share this with the audience, but I've trained myself to listen to that and to watch the signs of the universe communicating with me on every level about everything. And one year, my best friend had flown to where I live, and because it was my turn every year since I moved from Maryland, I go back. My friends come out here, and then I go the next year, and they come out, and I go out. And so it was my year, and but I wasn't flying, and so my best friend was going to come out to fly back with me to Maryland. Like, how generous. But that day, we got to the airport, and it was really windy, and I'm in full regalia, Quran, all that. And it was really windy, and so there was a delay. Then they were telling us our plane couldn't land. And so it was more delay. Then finally they were like, okay, everybody that's for that flight, we're going to have to bus you to, this was out in California. So they were going to bus us to LAX. So I already was recognizing this as the whisper. I went ahead and got on the bus. It was hell. And the ride and the traffic, I was worn out when I got to the damn airport. Now we get there, the universe give me another chance. We can't just get on a flight when we get there. When we get there now, we have to look at what flight we can put you on, and now it'll probably be a later flight tonight, and then your connections in Houston won't be the same, and like the whole trip was different now. I turned to Joseph. I said, I can't make this trip today. I'm not supposed to fly today. Everything is telling me, don't make this trip. I get on that plane. I'm going against everything. And I had to leave him standing there. He'd come to fly back with me. And I'm leaving him standing in the airport while I go get on the shuttle to go back to my car and go home. But I cared, but thankfully he knew how I was, with my spiritual inspirations. I couldn't get on that plane. The signs were there, And so you telling that portion of your story, which is extraordinary, at the very least, it might help somebody. It don't have to be a kid. It don't have to be nobody that's making wrong choices. It just echoes to people listen when your life is speaking to you. That's the universe. That's the universe. That is the universe, everybody. That is the universe. That's how it communicates with you. Your responsibility is to get into a space in your life where you're recognizing that communication. Because once you do that, your entire life changes. Every single bit of it. Every bit of it. Every bit of it. Anybody that knows me will tell you that they'll say, are you doing something? I go, I don't have to wait for the universe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'll know when I know. I don't know. You see? So I appreciate that. So then now, what then, you don't end up going to all these people telling you, come down, your one family member was saying, however long you want to stay, if you want to leave, whatever you want to do, we got you, You got all that happening. And your reason was noble, I didn't want to leave the kids, We'll infer there was, plus you had other life that you're just doing, I just can't take away from my life right now, and the kids.
Basically, yeah.
And so then now, what does end up happening after that?
Well, 2 weeks after the dream, earlier that day, I was actually with the kids and their mom over their house, and it was a normal day for us, hanging out and all of that. And I had just gotten my GED a few months before then. So I had a friend that was like, you know what, maybe you should take your ACT or your SAT and try to get in college and do this and that and the third. And I was like, I don't know, college ain't really for me, but they got me a package and to take the test. And they called me that day and it was like, you need to fill it out. I'm going to turn it in for you and this and that and third. So I started filling that out and got that filled out. And my intentions was to get it to them that night so they could send it off the next day. Mm-hmm. And try to, just try the college thing out, just to see how it works, see if it could work out. And I left my kids' mother's house, and me and her and the kids were supposed to do something that night together, or just me and her were supposed to do something that night. I can't recall, but I know I was supposed to get with her for sure. And it didn't play out like that. A couple of buddies of mine came by and they was like, they stopped by, but I didn't notice, I didn't pay any attention to it at the time, that they were only stopping by for a short period of time. Normally we hang out and kick it for a few hours or so, Mm-hmm. But on this particular day, they, stayed for like 3 minutes and they changed clothes and left. They were like, oh, we rolling. All right. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I want to say about 30 minutes later, I get a knock on the door. Somebody's beating on the door. I come open the door and it's one of my buddies, and I let him in. And he's basically telling, he's like, I got a warrant out for my arrest and this, that, and the third. I'm like, all right, cool. You can chill here, ain't nothing, And shortly after, police were everywhere and they were knocking on the door. And I was like,
the dream.
What? Like, what the hell? And I still didn't notice that there was the dream. I didn't notice until like a week later after being locked up. I noticed it then. I was like, one day I was thinking about, I was like, you know what? All this happened before that. These were signs, and I was like, how did I miss it? How did I miss it? But just it's because I was too in tune to the streets. I wasn't paying attention,
right. So they're knocking on the door.
And the police knocking on the door, and I'm like, what the hell? So at first, I'm thinking maybe if I don't answer, they'll just go away. They'll think nobody's home. They'll go away.
Right.
So now they're knocking on the back door, and I'm like, police in the backyard too? So I look out the windows. The whole house is surrounded. It's like police everywhere. I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know what I'm saying? So from that point, I finally was like, you know what? They're going to either kick it in if I don't open it or something, you know. So I went ahead and opened the door. Well, I got a lot of phone calls from people, different neighbors and different friends that were driving by seeing it, and they were like, they about to kick the door in, you know. This is one of my neighbors was telling me. They were like, they're talking about they finna kick the door in.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah. I just opened the door, and they bring both of us out of the house, and when they bring us out, they take us downtown. We go downtown.
They don't
like,
say anything, like, which we
not right then.
We don't get
right
that.
then. They have TV. Right then they're like, they don't say nothing. They just like, yeah, y'all the two we looking for. That's what they saying. I'm like, okay, you know, but that was a normal thing for me, you know, getting stereotyped in that way by the police. So it was like, I'm thinking like, all right, everything gonna be all right, you know, but this day, everything wasn't all right, you know.
Wow.
We get downtown, and they're like, well, this is the charge that we have you on. And I'm like, no, you don't. You don't got me on that charge. I ain't did nothing wrong. What are you talking about? So now they're like, well, this is what we're being told, and this is what's happening. This is what you're looking at. They ain't trying to hear nothing that I got to say. They just like, this is the time you're looking at right here. I'm like, nah, that's impossible. I'm like, okay, well, can I get a lawyer in here? Somebody that can, because what y'all talking about impossible. At that point, I was in denial. I didn't believe that I'm about to do some time.
Right.
You know, I'm thinking like,
right. Nobody thinks that.
You don't have no proof on what you're saying. Even if somebody's saying this and then the third, you don't got no proof. I know y'all bluff game.
Right.
So now lawyers get involved, and you know, I'm still incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
Then finally, I get a bond, and I get out on bond. At first, they made my bond so high, it was like they knew I wasn't gonna be able to pay it to get out.
Right.
So I was like, this don't make sense. So I had to get my bond reduced, and go to court, back and forth to court for that. And finally, when I get a reasonable bond, I make bond, I get out, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm fixing to be out here on the streets for a while before, you know, the process. If I do go to jail, I'm going to be out here for at least 8 months to a year before I see any jail time. That didn't happen. You know, I was out like maybe 3 weeks, if that long, and the feds had indicted me. And, you know, I went to court in the state, and I thought, you know, this is just a regular hearing, you know, it ain't nothing. You know, all of a sudden I'm in there, and they're like, we dismiss you on all charges today. And I was like, okay, cool. And I looked back, and they were like, I'm about to walk out. And she was like, what? But the gentleman in the back want to have a word with you. So now they standing up.
Who said this to you? Like, we're dropping our charges.
The judge said this.
The judge said this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was pertaining to the federal agents. And they all stood up in the back as I'm walking. I'm like, oh, yeah? So they escort me out of the courtroom, put me in handcuffs, and I had federal court that day. I was like, how do I got federal court? I ain't got no indictment from the feds or nothing. Soon as we got to court, it was like 25, 26 of us that they had just grabbed. They had indicted, but they never served us an indictment. They put us all in the jury box. in the courtroom. You had all these lawyers running around. You had people in the courtroom. You had a lot of stuff, commotion going on. They came to us, the prosecutor, and handed us all an indictment that day. And I was like, I've never seen nothing like that. I was like,
I've never heard of anything like this.
how y'all hand us an indictment the same day we go into court? That's weird. Like, how, what? So now it's like we all looking around each other like, what the hell's going on? You know, and it was crazy. And from that point, they told us we need lawyers. We're all being detained at this time in federal court, and it was like, what? What? Hold on. I'm like, I'm trying to argue like I'm out on bond right now. How are you talking about? And they was like, your bond's been revoked and you're being detained. And you're going to the federal holding facility. I was like, what? So now we all go to the federal holding facility, and we all going through the motions and going through the courts. And I go to court in the feds, and they're like, you're not getting a bond, you know. And I was like, they said because of your criminal background, you're a flight risk. I was like, I was just on bond before y'all indicted me. If I was a flight risk, I would have ran then, right. You know, but none of that mattered. They was like, you know, your gang affiliations, you are a menace to society, you did this, and that, and the third, you got inciting a riot, disorderly conduct, you got all of this. They just went through the line of my entire jacket and, you know, even my juvenile record. They brought all of that up. And they were like, you know, the prosecutor brought it all up to the judge, and the judge was like, oh, yeah, you definitely a flight risk. And I was like, but less than a month ago, I was on bond. If I was a flight risk, I would have ran then. That don't make sense. But, you know, you can't beat them, you know. So I went through all the motions of going back and forth to court, and it went on for about a year. And my lawyer was telling me, oh, we're going to get you, he was a paid lawyer. We had to pay him $10,000. He was like, we're going to get you 7 years. He was like, no matter what we argue, you're going to do some time. And if we don't play ball right now, what's going to happen is you're going to get way more time than you would if you go ahead and accept responsibility for your actions. And I was like, but I done told you what happened, how it played out and everything. And he was like, well, listen, you can tell me that I can believe you. Your family can believe, everybody can know this the truth, but when you go to trial, it's what the jury's going to believe. And given your background, it don't matter what you say, you fixing to come out with a lot of time.
That's bullshit. That's a bullshit lawyer. Can I just add that here? Because the lawyer's job, by definition, is to go in front of that jury that would not see you as innocent and make them see you as innocent. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is also a tale of black justice, you know, and the duality of the sentencing. Like you said, you was out on bond, but now I'm a flight risk. How did I just now become a flight risk? Like, just morph into a flight risk. You see, there's that, and then even the statement when you said that somebody said, they said, well, none of that matters now. Like, you're being taken into custody now. That could have just been some offhanded asshole he's not a lawyer, he's not a magistrate, he's just a fucking a donut eater with a gun. That's it. You know, that is self-aggrandized in that moment. And because you're black, melanin skin, you don't mean anything. So I just say whatever I want to you. But I have never, and I'm very good with law, and I've been in the courtroom. I've worked for some prestigious law firms, and I will not in criminal. I was never in criminal law firms, but the proceedings are the same. But I do know criminal law, and I never saw a case, and I know about process of serving and all those sorts of things. I never seen where you're bonded you're let go, and then there's agents waiting for you on the same thing. Like, that doesn't, no. And then you're literally sitting handcuffed with 26 other people, and now you want to hand me a damn indictment? Like, what is that? I never heard of this in my life, dude. I mean, I've seen a lot of legal cases and read a lot of legal cases and heard about them, and I never seen this in my life. I never seen, this is otherly existence type stuff. A nebula. Like, I can't. Wow. So go on then. So now you, well, go ahead. You pick it up from there.
So at this point in time, like you said, this all was foreign to me, because I've been in and out of jail my whole life, and it was like all of this was like, how, you know? And my lawyer, he's telling me, well, we're going to try to get you the minimum. We're going to try to do 7 years. Now, mind you, in the federal system, you know, 7 years at 85%, that's a nice little chunk of change. You know, if I was in the state, 7 years wouldn't be nothing. I'll probably do a year and I'm back on the streets. So the feds is like, well, you can take this 7, or you can take a 35, 40-year sentence, or, you know, so on, so on. So it was like, all right, let's do the 7. Now I go to court, I plead out, I go to court, and I don't get the 7. I didn't know anything about a blind plea agreement and all. It's so much stuff that they know you don't know about. And if you got a bull crap lawyer like I had, you just asked out.
Right.
And I ended up signing a blind plea, which is nothing in my plea agreement. All I got is accepting responsibility, which is the bare minimum. It's nothing. You know, they go by a point system in the feds, and accepting responsibility just knocks 3 points off of you. So it's like, what's 3 points when I got 40 points? You know, 3 points ain't nothing. So, they know we have no knowledge in these fields. So it's like, they winning, you know. It's a system they got set up, they got in play. And my 7 ended up a 10-year sentence, you know. And when they told me the time in my sentencing hearing, I had a lot of people there, you know, from the community, a lot of friends, family there. And
these same people that didn't show up at your football games.
Yeah, they're
now.
court. Yeah.
With their Sunday best on.
Yeah. And now everybody's just in shambles. Everybody's crying. You hear everybody when they said the 10 years. Because my lawyer then literally went and told everybody, he's all right, we're going to get him 7 years. You know, nobody wants to do any time. Period.
Right, 7 minutes.
But when they're talking about X amount of time versus this amount of time, in your eyes, you're like, fuck it. I mean, I would rather take the short end than the long end.
Yeah.
If I can't win it, let me take the short end. And once he said 10, it was like, what? Wait a minute, what about my plea agreement? And they were like, there's nothing in your plea agreement. We could give you a life sentence. That's what your plea agreement allows us to do. And I was like, what? And once I left the courtroom and I made it back to the holdover, it was like, the reality is sunk in. I walked out of the courtroom. You wouldn't have known that it affected me as much as it did, you know. But once I got back, I was like laying on the bunk, and I was like, reality sunk in.
10 years, I gotta be at this bitch.
I'm at 85%. I've been gone a year, and this year has seemed like forever. So I'm like, wow, this is not gonna be over with fast,
Right,
you know.
right.
And you're around people who are getting 185 years, life sentences, triple life sentences, and you're like, what? This is normal. And it's like people are telling you their cases, and you're just like, they're trying to give you this much time for what? How is that possible? And then you looking at your case like, hey, no way they're gonna be able to give me this type of. There's no way.
Right.
And then you get it. The feds have a 98% conviction rate. And the reason being is
so there's 98% white devil.
Yeah.
My answer, not yours. My bad.
When they tell you, hey, you're gonna take this 20 years, or we're gonna give you 100 years.
Right.
You can fight it all you want. This is our country. This is what we're gonna do. They ain't telling you what, everybody, the law, this, the law. Man, this is what they're gonna tell you. This is what we're gonna do. The law only applies to them. It don't apply to us.
Right.
The Constitution wasn't written for blacks,
Right. And at the time it was written, we was in chains, homie.
Yeah. So it's like they tell you, okay, you're going to take the short end or the long end. And you're looking at like, I don't have a choice but to take the short end. Of course, I don't want the long end. And this is how they get their conviction rate,
So, because I really want to ask you about this. My ear thing is starting. I'm not going to be dipping through this damn interview. We're not going to do it. We'll end this. We'll end it. Here's what I really want to know from you, my brother. And I want to say thank you so much for doing this. Because thank you, Talk to me when you said, when you left out of the courtroom, you wouldn't have known it affected you. I interpret that as just like shock and like the brain hasn't had a chance to catch up, sort of.
Yeah.
And as you said, then when you got back there, you landed in that bunk. Where do you go? Where do you go? Like, where do you go? How do you not lose your mind and say, I'm going to kill myself right now? Because why I'm asking this question, and I'm so passionate about this, is because it won't happen. Wallahi, I'm a Muslim, and it's forbidden for us to kill ourselves. I can't do time. I can't be confined someplace and I can't go. I can't. I know that about myself, and ain't no need of me trying to sit up here and act like I'm some sort of tough hero that I'm not. Jedi goes to jail, Jedi commits suicide. It's that simple. If it's a week, I might be able to do that. That's still going to be rough, but you know what I'm saying? But if it's anything that you can't give me a year, you can't give me 6 months. You see, where do you go, brother? Because because one of the things I always say about brothers who have lost their freedom is you are a lion. You are a lion. I mean that from my heart and my DNA. You are a lion. Because how do you get through that? Just even that first, forget you got through the full bullet. How do you get through them first minutes when you realizing, wait a minute now, it's just hitting you? Talk to me about that. Where do you go? What happens? Does some angel come down? Is there some magic pixie dust? What's going on? You feel me? Like, how do you do that? Somebody just took your freedom. How do you talk?
I mean, you definitely, it's a struggle. You do think about suicide. You do have suicidal thoughts because you're like, there's no way I can do this. How am I going to make it through it? And then you have guys who have quadruple your time, and they're thinking the same thing, and it's like all of us are going through the same struggle, and it's like we all just wondering like how we gonna make it through this. You have individuals who do commit suicide, you know, some commit suicide before they even get the time, before they get sentenced, you know, some after they get sentenced, you know, some, you know, right after they get sentenced, they commit suicide. Some might take years later, they commit suicide. But those thoughts definitely cross every person's mind. And it's like, do I go through with it? And then it's like, what I started to learn was I had a lot of older male figures, role models that was incarcerated, who had a lot of time, might have been locked up for a long time, and they were in a spiritual place in their life. And they would, because I was so young, they would reach out to me and they would talk to me and they were like, listen, don't be a crash dummy like these other young boys. You different, you special, you got, you know, you bigger than this. Don't let this defeat you and this and that and the third. And they'll always talk to you. And, you know, even times when you don't really feel like talking, you have certain brothers that'll be like, listen, you ain't finna rough me off like that. We finna talk, you know what I'm saying? Because they been where you at, you know, and they know how it can end. So they just trying to hold on to you and let you know, like, listen, you ain't going through it alone, you know. Right. We gonna walk these steps together, you know. And I started learning that Allah don't put more on you than you can burden, you know.
You know, this challenges that. This challenges that.
Definitely.
Me. Because as an individual, like, there's been things that I've been through, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. When before I had my accident in 2010, I had been diagnosed with prostate cancer in like June or July. I already had a trip planned to Maryland. And I got this diagnosis, and I asked the doctor, I said, well, you know, how, you know, like, I can't deal with this right now. Like, you know, how much time do I have to think about this and what I want to do for treatment and da-da-da. So he's like, well, you know, normally I give you about 6 months, but, you know, it's really aggressive, so I'd say about 3 months. Well, my trip was going to be a month. So, like, I don't ever travel unless I'm going to go for a month, because what's the point? Right when I start enjoying myself, it's time to go back home. I'm not doing it. Like, I have to have a month. So then I get to Maryland, and then 2 days before I'm supposed to fly back home, I have this accident. Now I can't do anything about that. And now I'm in a wheelchair, you know, and transferring myself and all those things. And it's a nightmare. Because both my feet were crushed. And so, you know, the heel and then the bone and all that, like, my toes are fine. And then, you know, like, if you saw my feet now, I have nice feet, you know, like, it's fine. But my mobility, you know, isn't the same as everybody else's. When I'm not in shoes, you can tell it more. If you just saw me walk down the street, you have no idea there's a problem. You don't know there's a bunch of metal and plates in both my feet, and that my heels are artificial and all that stuff. But I would lay in bed and I would say, I can't do this. I can't do this. Allah, I can't do this. I can't. And I would just cry myself to sleep talking to the Creator and saying, take this from me, take this from me, take this from me, let there be nothing, take this from me, literally. So I offer that because, you know, that's one thing. But this, know that you're going to be at somebody else's behest for 10 years, I can't. You know, and you was talking about the elders, but talk to me about those first days and weeks, you know, when now, because as an officer who worked on the inside, you know, the institutional counts and the strip searching. You don't have to go into the deal. From what I mean about that in the context I mean that in is, like, tell me how like the shock of that, you know, before you get to that point where you meet these spiritual brothers who have done it and been in there for a while and trying to help you to have a better way, you know, tell us about those weeks, if you will, of damn, you know, that, like the damn, you know, and you hate the food and that damn officer needs to die and that, you feel me?
It's around, well, once I got sentenced and like I said, the reality sunk in on me. It just felt like my whole world was over with. You know, it felt like to be told you're never going to see your children again until a certain time frame or never again, you know, seeing them in the aspect of actually being active in their lives. You know, you can see them through a glass window or you can see them at visitation, but you're not active in their lives anymore. You can't go home and tuck them in their beds anymore, you know.
Right.
This is when all of this is sinking in.
They can't even get on your nerves no more.
And it's like, damn. And it's like the food, all of that didn't even matter at that point. It was like, damn, I'm not going to be able to watch my son, you know, take his first steps. You know, I'm not going to be there when my daughter needs help doing anything, you know,
right.
Getting out of the bathtub or anything. It's like all of that started playing a factor. It was like, that's what started hurting me the most. It was like, you know, my own freedom didn't even matter no more. The biggest thing that was scarring me was like, I have kids out here and it's like, I'm not even going to be able to be a part of their lives. Like all the most important moments I'm about to miss, you know.
Right.
It's like I can never get that time back. And that's what was crushing me. I was praying every night that Allah, you know, keep me in their hearts, you know, allow them, regardless of how long I do, regardless of how long I'm away from them, allow them to always love me no matter what, you know, and accept me as their father,
right.
You know, because I know how it is, you know, kids and their parents in jail, and I know how that is. So I never want to be that parent, you know, and that one was crushing me. It was like my world had came to an end. And for a long time, months, it was just like I couldn't adapt to it. I couldn't get used to it.
Despair.
It was just like disbelief. Like I kept telling myself, this is a bad dream. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and it's gonna be over with, and it's gonna be back to normal. Tomorrow you wake up, they call an account, and you like, I'm still here, you know. Yeah. And then you're praying that, oh, I hope Allah come through and they kick me out of jail early, and it never happens. And you just like, this can't be my life. It's no way. You know, just a little while ago, I was doing this out there free. Now, and it's like, then that's when the food started taking the plate. The food and everything else starts bothering you. Once you get over the hump of the kids situation, now it's like the food,
you can't control the thermostat.
You can't do anything. So now it's freezing, or if it's too hot,
it's too hot or it's too cold. The shower is some bullshit, you know. Like
cold shower.
You know, the blankets are like, are you serious? Is this supposed to be a blanket? Mm. Even the cot itself, oh brother, man,
you waking up all through the night. your back hurting, your side hurting, you rotate. It's like, I don't care how long you're incarcerated, you're never going to get used to sleeping on those bunks. It's like, you wake up, you're tossing and turning. It's like, now you're starting to go through a phase where you're pissed off all the time.
Right.
You know,
Ready to
you're
kill anybody.
You know, you're angry. You don't want nobody to say nothing to you. You just mad all the time.
Yeah.
And now you're just ready to stab somebody. You're ready to kill somebody. Right. And this is all a system that the government had in play for us. You know, this wasn't, accidental. This wasn't coincidental. This was systematic, what they did, to us. This is what they had a plan for us, and when I say us, I mean us as Black people.
Yeah.
They had a plan for us. And it's like, you'll be surprised how many people you meet in jail and they're telling you their story. You're like, what the hell are you even doing in jail?
Right. I know. I met brothers like that. I met them when I worked on the inside. I met them.
It's like, it's unreal. And it's like, jail is a world within the world. It's like you're in a bubble, and it's like, you are dead to the world, and like I've told you before, I think, to me, that is hell on earth.
Yeah.
When a person speaks of hell on earth, it's jail.
Yeah.
It
has to be.
It's the closest thing that I believe we're gonna come to it. It's reality. That's hell. And your family, people, as time going on, you're mad all the time. You're not getting any mail. First, like your first year, maybe 2 years, you're getting mail on a normal basis. You're getting, pictures on a normal basis. You're getting visits on a normal basis. But how the federal jail is structured, it's not like the state. The federal jail, they can send you anywhere in the United States.
Right.
They can
and they
send you
usually
to
try and send us someplace that's not convenient for our family. It's another tactic of breaking up the damn family. Separate you from them and them from you. I trust. Yes, that's not. Yes,
When they talk rehabilitation, that's not jail. Jail is not about rehabilitating you.
Right.
It's about breaking you down. It's about destroying the whole family system.
Yeah.
Get rid of the alpha male, so you can control the Black community. Right. And you have so many alpha males in the jails.
Then you can have this dumbass pastor stand up at Aretha Franklin's funeral and say, there are no Black men in the hope. You see, go on.
And it's just, the whole experience, you never get used to it. You wake up every day 5, 6, 10 years down the line, and you still not used to it. You just accept it. This is my life. Right. What can I do about it?
I'm done.
You just accept it. Yeah. But you never get used to it. It's like the food. You never get used to it. You hate the food the first day, you're going to hate it on the last day. Right.
I will say, when I worked on the inside, because sometimes your duty, your responsibility moved around. Some days you'd be in control with all the cameras and the phones. Some days you'd be in culinary. Some days you'd be, So anytime I had culinary duty, like, we had some good cooks, brothers that could put it down. And we have to eat the food to fill out the state report. It was good. It was good. I will say that was some good food. I ain't mad. I fix my eggs like that to this day when it comes to breakfast. I make prison eggs. I still sometimes I have, I get some of the fellas together and I'll do a prison spread, like where you get the big plastic bag. I don't know if y'all do that there, but we get the big plastic like hefty bag, and you have whatever crackers you like, You know, you can have that.
Oh yeah.
And then it's the noodles, it's the top ramen
Noodles.
noodles, you know,
Yeah.
with smoked oysters and
Yeah.
sardines, and you know, you can embellish it however you want to. Some brothers get real inventive and all that. Anyways, then you eat it, you know what I'm saying, with your Ritz crackers or your Pringles or whatever. That's that spread. I'm telling you, like, I make prison spread to this day.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Those. It's like we as a black people, they give us the bare minimum, the worst of the worst. In jail, they give you the worst meats. They give you the worst vegetables. They give you the worst everything. They give you out of date products. You know, they give you the worst. And you know, that because to them you are the worst. You're the scum of the earth to them.
Right.
You know, that's what they looked at us as. And it's just like in slave times when they would give us pig intestines and the pig feet, and they'd give us everything they didn't want, you know, and now look at it now, you know, we perfect that. And in jail, it's like you get the worst products, and commissary is like a necessity. You can survive off jail food, but it's like, it's so hard.
Right.
You would literally have to have people to give you their food for you to survive. If you just had to go off of what they give you, your 3 meals a day, you wouldn't survive. You'd be anorexic, you know. But commissary is a big thing.
Big time.
And I was fortunate enough to have people to send me money, you know. It's a lot of people that aren't fortunate, don't have anyone to send them anything. And it's been times now that I didn't have anyone to send anything, you know. I wasn't fortunate all the time, but it was, I say at least a few times out the year, I was able to get money put on my books, you know, and it made it a little easier. But we would put together spreads like you're talking about. We would come together and do things, you know, eat together. And, you know, everywhere I've been, I've always been around people who gravitated toward me, you know, off my personality. And because of that, I was around different individuals who had money. Like, you gonna meet in the feds, you meet millionaires. There are people who the most money you can have on your book, $100,000, they got that on their books.
Right.
And I've came across those type of people, and they were like, listen, you know, don't stress. They ain't sending you nothing, don't even worry about it. I got you. You know what I'm saying? You like family in here, you know. It's like they expect us to kill each other outside of jail and inside of jail.
Right.
But we find a common ground and we unify in the jail. You know, there's gonna be times where, you know, you're gonna get frustrated in the fight or two. You know, you're gonna, but for the most part, we try to find ways where we come common ground and we unify, and we try to, you know, live right amongst each other, you know, and stick together.
And for a lot of our brothers, that's the first time they had any type of unity or brotherhood, you know.
Yeah.
I want to say that we're going to make this a second part. It may be on here and it may not be. Only because of the time of where my brother is, and he had already told me before we started this interview what his time constraint was. So we've gone 9 minutes past that, and I don't want my brother to not be pleased with me. So I don't know if this will be a second video, or if this is going to end up being just a long video for you guys. I haven't made that decision yet. I'll probably know that in post-production. But this ain't the end. However we finish it, you'll know that now. or maybe we may end up releasing this part and then making the second part. I don't know. You know what it is now. If you're watching us, you know what came to be. We don't. We are in production. So I want to give my brother an opportunity to say a good day or goodbye or whatever to the audience as we end this portion of it, whatever's going to happen after this, as far as how we link this and do it and whatever. And then we will see you guys in the next part. So, Brother Zaki, what would you like to say to these people that you are fiercely educating right now? And I'm getting an education too, and I'm having a lot of flashbacks and things. But what would you can say something. Good night. Bye. Don't call me.
Well, before we exit, I would definitely like to say, never give up, never stop fighting. We gotta unite out here. We gotta save each other. We gotta save our children. They the future. Even if we feel that we are lost cause, we still have to save the future. Our youth are our future. They're gonna carry the banner when we pass on. So we have to save them from this system that the government has in play. We have to. I mean, it's mandatory. We got to save them from all of the hardship that we've went through and the hardship to come. We have the opportunity to save their lives, and I think I know we have to be productive in their lives, and we have to listen to their voice, because these children, they have a voice, and it's like we can't disregard their voice, no matter how young they are. We always got to be attentive and pay attention, and take the initiative to push them in the right direction. Don't allow the gangs, don't allow the government, don't allow the politics, the racist, individuals to dictate who our children are as individuals. We have an opportunity to save their lives, and we got to come together and do that.
I think also when we finish our last segment, that's something I want to make note to get into. We'll have that discussion after about that, like how do we harness our kids. I'll just say to the audience, in the next segment, we will continue with, more of our brother's experience on the inside and having lost his freedom. But I'm excited to also have him share with you his introduction to Islam and how that was a liberating factor in his life. And of course, we're going to give you a happy ending and bring you up to what everything happened and where he's at now. So you're not going to want to miss that. Again, I thank my brother for the opportunity, and I thank you all for watching. And we will see you in the next segment, and hopefully, as I can't stress this enough, that you will share this with your children, your friends, your family. You like watching reality television? This is reality, everybody. This is reality, and it's one of ours. And I also am looking forward into helping you to understand why brothers like Brother Zaki, why I was calling him a lion earlier. I'll expound upon my own observations and experience with inmates that I work with back during my career as a corrections officer. And then through his experience, we'll meld those two things together. So look for that. I'll see you soon.